Welcome to Airsoft 101, an introduction to Airsoft. I'm Oultaw from Skeleton Crew. I'm going to go over some of the basics of the sport of Airsoft, what it is, what equipment we use, general knowledge of the game so that you can have a fun experience when you go out to play Airsoft. Start off with, what is Airsoft? Airsoft is shooting little plastic pellets at each other with replica guns. Now when you shoot something at somebody, safety is always the number one concern, as backwards as that sounds. So, number one thing in Airsoft is safety. Everywhere you play Airsoft is going to require eye protection. Now these are going to be some sort of shield between your eyes and BBs coming at you. Now there's two types. There is clear lens or there is mesh. Now the difference between these can be debated, but they basically do the same thing. So if you have a clear lens shooting glasses or goggles with mesh on them, they're going to protect your eyes. A lot of fields are going to require full seal protection, and what that is just it's a foam pad or a plastic gasket that runs around the goggles so that BBs don't come in from the side and get into your eyes. Another very important part of kind of safety would be face protection, because if your eyes are protected but your mouth's not protected and your face not protected, you're going to kind of have a bad day. What we like to use is a steel mesh face mask. What this does is protects, everything from your nose out to the side of your ears. You can get some that are larger and go over your ears. They do a really good job of stopping BBs. You can also find ones that are solid plastic. And you can find a full face mask similar to a paintball mask that has a lens built into it as well as full face protection. Kind of other steps you might want to take is wearing a pair of gloves, wearing really sturdy shoes, and nice thick clothing so that you're going to absorb some of those BB hits without feeling the welts too much. Alright, so the second step in airsoft safety is gun safety. You want to always remember the 4 rules of gun safety. Always treat a gun as if it's loaded. Never point a gun at somebody or something you don't want to shoot. Always keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready to fire the gun. And know what your target is and what's beyond it in case you miss or it goes through. If you follow those rules for the airsoft safety, you're going to have a fun time, you're going to keep your eyes, and you're going to have a really great experience. Alright, let's go over the basics of your airsoft gun. Now there's kind of 3 main components. There's the gun itself, the replica. There's your magazine and your ammunition, which feeds the gun. And then there's your battery, which powers the gun. Let's look at each of these kind of individually. First we have the gun. You got a muzzle on the end, usually with an orange tip when you buy it. You're going to have a trigger here which fires the gun. You have some kind of place for your hands to go, a front stock, a pistol grip maybe. You have a butt stock here that goes into your shoulder. You're going to have sights, which are either built into the gun here or maybe an aftermarket optic, a red dot or a scope perhaps. And then across all guns you're going to have a selector switch which functions as your safety. Now what that does here is this lever on this gun, and in this position up, it's safe. The trigger cannot be pulled. Now as you select it down one click, that's going to be full auto, and you push it down once more, that's going to be semi-automatic. On semi-auto you pull the trigger one time, one BB is going to come out. On full auto you hold the trigger down, BBs are going to keep coming out until your battery dies or your magazine is empty. And on safe, you're not going to be able to pull the trigger. Nothing's going to happen. Some other features on the gun are going to be your hop up. What that is this unit right here. And what it does is it gives a little bit of backspin to the BB as it goes through the barrel. And there's an arm here that you can see. You're going to be able to adjust the pressure that your hop up is putting on the BB to give it more or less backspin so that the trajectory of the BB is going to be straight and fly as far as possible. This is also where the BBs go from the magazine, they go through the hop up into your barrel. Alright, let's take a look at the magazine. Now this here is a high capacity magazine, which means that you fill up a reservoir here full of BBs, and then on the bottom you have a wheel. What that does is it spins and it loads up a spring on the inside, which will constantly feed BBs into your gun. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a bag of BBs, and to carefully fill this up. high capacity magazine is going to hold anywhere from 200 to 500 BBs depending on which one you're getting. And once you get the BBs in there, you're going to wind it up. And it's going to take a while because it's got a big spring in there. But you'll start to hear a distinctive change in the clicking noise that it makes. And once you hear that, it means the spring is fully loaded. You're also going to be able to see the BBs here in the front. Now there's a little latch here that's holding the BBs in, and if you were to pull that, BBs are going to spill out. When it goes into the gun, that lever is pushed back, allowing BBs to feed into the rifle. Okay, so the third part of your airsoft gun is going to be your power source. Usually that's going to come in the form of a battery. This here is a stick battery. Then you got a nunchuck battery. These ones are just a fat nunchuck battery. You're going to have multiple kind of variations and sizes of batteries. They're going to have higher and lower capacities. The number that you find printed on here, that's called a milliamp hour. And what that means is the length of time that you're going to be able to shoot your gun off of this battery. So here we have a 1200 milliamp hour. This one's showing a 1600 milliamp hour. And finally we got a 2000 milliamp hour. Now airsoft batteries are rechargeable because it wouldn't make sense to have to throw this away and buy a new one every day you wanted to play airsoft. So to charge it, you can either use the wall charger that comes with it out of the box. These are going to do a really slow trickle charge and usually take between 6 and 11 hours depending on how big your battery is. For a 1200 milliamp battery, you're probably going to leave it on for 6.5 to 7 hours to make sure that it's fully charged. Now if you want to get an aftermarket smart charger, you get something like this. These are going to be able to charge your battery in about 2 hours if it's completely dead to, as well as topping off the battery in about 30 minutes. Now the reason for the different shapes of the batteries is to fit into each gun. In this particular gun here, the top dust cover is going to remove and the battery is going to sit right on the top here. It's going to slide a little bit forward into the front of the gun and then use these connectors here and it clips together. You put the dust cover back in position. Now the gun is ready to shoot. Now I have a clear area over here to shoot, so it's safe for me to do this. But like I said, you always want to make sure of what you're shooting at and what is behind your target. So now that the battery is plugged in, we can test the gun and know that it's working. So that's the sound of a semi-automatic. One trigger pull, one shot. Now we bump it into full. As long as I'm holding down the trigger, the gun's going to continue firing until either the battery runs out or the magazine is empty. And this is back into safe. All right, now this particular rifle, it's modeled off an AK-74. The magazine has a front lip here that's going to lodge right into the front of the gun, click in position like that. Now you're ready to go. Make sure your magazine is fully wound up so the BBs are going to come out. Find a safe target to shoot at and let them fly. On this gun, to take the magazine out, you take this little lever here, push it forward, and crank the magazine forward. There's going to be a few BBs that drop out each time you unload the magazine, and that's normal. Those are just extra BBs that are starting to hop up between the magazine and the barrel, so don't worry about that. This has been Airsoft 101, Introduction to Airsoft. Hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more in this series.